Again, those beautiful sounds come to us courtesy of the brothers, the 8 brothers in this version of the group. 7 of them toured when they came here to our area last year. And those of you who were jamming with me in the audience at World Cafe Live, we had a great time that evening. But the song is called Jupiter, the biggest planet. And so hopefully you got a chance to nod your head as we were doing here in the studio, listening to that fine, fine music. This is Stephanie Renee welcoming you back to today's program. Mike D is in the house.
Hey, everybody.
And shout out to those of you checking us out on Facebook Live. We are here for this week's edition of Reelblack Radio.
Yes, big things. Just getting in last night, the opening of the Lightbox Film Center here in Philadelphia, formerly known as the International House. They've rebranded. It's called Lighthouse.
Okay.
And lots of folks involved. A big gala opening, 25th anniversary screening of Allison Anders' Gas Food Lodging, and a little party afterwards. Louis Messiah in the building.
Nice.
Gretchen Clausing from Philly Cam and Maori Holmes from Black Star. So,
indeed,
big shout out to them and all the big things that are going on, and they're making a big membership push to make sure that it continues. It's one of the last repertory houses here in the city. So big shout out to them.
Indeed. And we know we always have a good time, especially in the summer when Black Star rolls around, and the other ways that that wonderful space is being utilized by different film presenting organizations here in the city. It's always great to gather there and really have a good time.
Yeah, definitely. And our guest later today has a film premiering there next week that we'll talk about. And while we're waiting for our first guest, Get Out is coming out on Blu-ray and DVD this Tuesday.
Okay, cool. Because, I've seen plenty of ads for it for people who want to buy it and download it to their DVRs and have it available that way. So actually having a physical disc, which is what I prefer.
Yeah, it is. The VOD came out last week, so you could download it. And one of the cool things that people have been talking about, there's an alternate ending.
Yes. That's
included in the download and on the DVD.
Yeah, I prefer to get the Blu-ray, so I will definitely look for that on Tuesday.
Well, we're giving copies away. Can we take a caller and give one?
Okay, what criteria are you establishing for giving away?
Well, they can't be in the sunken place.
But beyond that,
how about number 3, the third caller?
Okay, so third caller at 215-634-8065 or toll free at 1-866-361-0900. Third caller, you can score your very own Blu-ray copy of Jordan Peele's Get Out.
Yeah, it's a combo, so it's got the Blu-ray and the DVD in the same package,
nice.
and a download if you want to put it on your device.
Word.
So
you don't have another extra.
Well, you see,
John for
this is how
co-host?
This is how Trump got in trouble.
You all know I have to ask, right?
Well, he could have waited till
I'm just saying.
In between.
Well,
oh, you're saying you're trying to be transparent
I was
about
going to say, well, 45 is making threats. I was just asking for the hookup.
Well, it's like, well, can we just pretend? We'll look out for you.
Okay,
course.
thank you.
Yeah.
But especially, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, really?
I have to admit that I have not yet seen the film. I've heard all kinds of great things about it. I've heard people that were a little lukewarm. They enjoyed it, but they weren't like raving about it like most of the people I know who have seen it.
I think it's one of those things.
I've never heard any bad thing about it.
I think it's overhyped at this point. So if you catch it late, I think you would definitely appreciate it. I'm surprised they haven't given you a call to revoke that card of yours.
Listen, I have explained to you over and over that me finding time to actually go sit my butt in a theater chair and go see films is next to impossible.
Okay.
So that's part of the issue. It's not that I didn't want to support, I definitely wouldn't mind, like I said, I'm going to buy the DVD. I wouldn't mind paying for the ticket.
Okay.
But it's just the time.
This is
time is a thing.
When the black card people call up, this is like excuse. Look, I've been meaning to. I want to go. That's like required viewing for all Reelblack radio listeners.
That's real easy. If somebody wants to come eke out because it's not just the time that it takes to sit and watch the film. It's time to get to the theater and home and all of that. So if somebody wants to come find 4 hours in my schedule on a regular basis for me to go sit down in the theater and watch a film, then, more power to them. So
I take it everything is not going to happen for you this weekend.
Probably not. But I appreciate I feel very near and dear to Amanda Stenberg. She is my daughter in my head. So I really would love to go support the film. And I have very fond memories of The Boy in the Bubble.
Okay.
So, this whole idea of her, sort of breaking out from being locked in her house for years.
Yeah.
And having a day.
Yeah, it's very metaphorical in terms of release and first loves. And adventure, definitely young adult territory. Yeah. So if you're of a certain age, this might be the best movie you've seen. It may resonate with you. And Amanda Sternberg from Hunger Games is her first leading role. And the first of a series of movies where she's biracial woman in an interracial relationship.
But that's who she is.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like down the pike, she's got one with Alma Asante coming as well. But this one is everything, and Anika Noni Rose plays her mother, who is also a physician who has diagnosed her as having a allergy. She can't be exposed to any outside air or whatever, or else she'll get sick and die. Yeah. And then this young man, I forget who plays the lead, moves in next door, and he's having some family issues and stuff too. But the way the house is built, it's like ornate, it's like one of these like crazy multi-million-dollar mansions, and it's like air-proofed, and everything has to go through like ultraviolet light for her to have it and everything. But she's on social media, but she can see him from across the way, and they build up a relationship. And of course, evil man that he is, he coaxes her out, gets her juices flowing, and says, "Why don't you come outside?" Or coaxes her into going outside. He doesn't necessarily. He's looking out for a little bit, but it's a great romance. Lots of visuals and stuff. So, I'm a little too old for it. I mean, I saw it a while ago, but I went with Carol from the cafe, Point Destination Cafe. She took her daughter. Her daughter's seen it twice already. She's like her favorite movie. And she can really identify. So it's something you might want to drop your kids off this weekend.
Let them go check it out without
and
you.
Then you go download Get Out or something.
Yeah, not questionable in terms of content. Like it's something you can feel comfortable with the young people.
Nothing that hit me too hard. It's definitely like PG-13 territory. There's like I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but it's a nice romance, and there's a nice twist, and it'll keep you involved. But and the director, I'm not sure who the director is, does a really good job. Like they maybe too much where like Amanda, like they just pay attention. Like you see everything through her eyes and her reaction to things. Like so much of this stuff she's experiencing for the first time. Yeah. And they really make a strong effort to make sure that you experience things with her. Like the first time she's in a car, and the first time she does this, and so nice. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. Pretty cool movie out today. everything. So
yes, well, very much. I'm cheering on the fact that she gets a chance to take a star turn, and that a lot of people who have only seen her for the part that she played, the small, small but significant part that she played in the Hunger Games, now get a chance to see her sort of branching out and really taking some ownership of how she plays these roles and the decisions that she's making, what roles she'll accept. Because, she's done a lot behind the scenes now with trying to empower young women of color with her comic books and a lot of the political statements she's making about being non-gender conforming, but also, looking for more images like her in modern media. So I think it's, this is great.
Yeah, that's the time we live in. It's a great. I walked out of everything. So saying, well, we're at a point now where we have a saturation of images, like between what's coming out on a regular basis and what already exists from the beginning of film history or whatever. There's lots to go back at, and it's just sort of, time will tell what. How people adjust to. I still think that we need more things like in everything, and certainly, there'll be, not every movie's for everybody.
Right.
So what this is saying on other levels, you love who you love, kind of thing. But I walked out of it saying like, wow, I wish more images like this were around when I was younger, and then certainly the previous generation. Is a complete dearth of young adult black images. But,
right.
But I grew up on Webster, so that kind of messed me up for a long time. Webster and different.
That's
folks.
Yeah, well, we're fairly close in age, but that's where you took your romantic cues from?
Oh, why'd you have to go there? Yeah, Webster was hot. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that.
Well, later when I'm saying, all right, well, later, yeah, we had Different World and Lisa Bonet and all that kind of stuff, and that's still promoting sort of like a certain sort of idealized standard of beauty that we need to get past, I think.
So you didn't like Penny? I'm just thinking about like how folks our age in terms of young people.
Did Penny get a love story on Facts of Life on Good Times? She got burned.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. You're talking about
idealized. Well, no, clearly in the 70s and 80s.
Boys I know love Thelma. It didn't make a difference whether Thelma had a romantic storyline. It was like that was kind of like the idealized.
Well, this is a whole segment. No, I think in the 70s and 80s, there were very few images of black women that were idealized as sort of like sex symbol people. So you can make a list. Yeah, Thelma would be on it. Jane Kennedy would be on it. But they kind of all reinforce a certain standard.
Well, my thing is that you're looking back at it. I was like, most of the guys that I really, really liked would not have liked me. Okay. I loved Leroy. Leroy could do no wrong. Leroy could do no wrong. I've always loved dancers.
See, they played tricks on you, too.
I'm just saying that it was one of those things. I love Michael from Good Times.
Yeah, again.
But I'm just saying, so it wasn't about them being like having a romantic through line in the shows. It was just about what they represented in terms of their characters and that kind of thing that made it.
I suppose I just feel, film helps you model yourself within society. Right now it seems like the love stories are promoting sort of diversity in interracial relationships. So you get an Amanda Stenberg, excuse me. Sorry, Amanda. Hopefully you'll call in. I won't mess up your name when you call in. But it's a different kind of, it's still not what I want to see. So I'll have to write that, which is like a Beyond the Lights kind of thing, even
for young people,
for young people, or just like, we'll talk about it later, just in terms of like rebuilding a family structure or a sense of empowerment through a family structure. Mm-hmm. So even this everything, it's sort of, it's romantic, but it's sort of they're both coming from fractured families.
Yeah, from dysfunctional family. I get it. So, the whole idea of mom and dad being in the house, being affectionate toward one another, and being a model for what the children should look for in their own relationships.
That's definitely a piece of it. And then also, getting beyond just the lustful romance of it and like, like this, they're building a utopia in this film. It's very romantic.
Okay.
Like let's go off and run away. Like a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing.
Like The Notebook.
Yeah, or so which is fine. Like you model that in your head, and I think it's better now than it ever was. I mean, if you're a young woman growing up, you have dolls that you can look at that look like you, and movie stars that look like you. I'm just saying, like, I know how damaged I was. Watching Webster and Different Strokes, saying like, if I'm a little kid and I'm thinking, wow, the only way I'm gonna be wealthy and successful is if I never grow up and a white family adopts me, that's subconsciously messing with my head. Otherwise, I'll be stuck in the projects with JJ and Michael.
I can appreciate everything you're saying. I just and this goes back to, and you all know that I talk about this often. Mm-hmm. This goes back to growing up in Chocolate City, because TV was just TV. For me, my world was black, and my mom and my dad were very affectionate toward one another. So it was like my examples were right in front of me. I wasn't depending on TV or movies or anything else to model for me what I thought that should feel like or be like that black success and black family and everything else was right in my face. And so I just. But that's what I'm saying. I respect what you're saying. Yeah. I just think about, I never processed Different Strokes and Webster in that way.
Okay, you just looked at them as like, hey, little cute kids.
Some show on TV, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was all fantasy to me.
It's much more. I mean, well, when those are the only choices you have, it becomes problematic. So. Now it's sort of more of a rainbow. But
I was going to say, that sounds like a conversation we should take to the phones.
Okay.
I mean, but I know we have your guest will be calling in shortly. Yes.
Well, shout out to Beatrice Patton and Patton Dixon, who won the Get Out Blu-ray.
Wonderful. Congratulations, Beatrice. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Mike has a guest coming in. We'll call our other guest, and we'll continue this conversation in terms of the power of imagery.
Okay.
What films people are bringing to our art houses, bringing to our television screens, how we are interpreting real life through the lens of these really dedicated filmmakers. And we'll continue that conversation on today's edition of Reelblack Radio after this.
The best way to keep moving? Stay in one place. At Einstein Spine Institute, our unique approach unites orthopedics, neurosurgery, neurology, pain management, and Moss Rehab. Aligning these specialties means you'll always be supported by one team on one path, moving towards a pain-free life. Visit einstein.edu/spine. Einstein Healthcare Network. More than medicine.
The Mojo with Steph Renee.
Charles Laughlin.
My son, Riley, he's 9 years old, and fourth grade, he went to a birthday celebration with 3 other classmates and a parent to a facility in Poway, California, a suburb of San Diego. And apparently some teenagers came up to him, and there were these foam bricks in the facility, and they started throwing the foam bricks at him and told him, "You should fear us. We are with the Ku Klux Klan."
Don't miss the Mojo. Weekdays when there's no council, 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. Right here on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent Black Media.
Talus Payment is the premier merchant services company of today. Talus Payment can help with your business. Do you have a new business? Do you want to take credit cards today? Do you have an existing business paying too much to process credit cards? Call Jackie today at 347-466-1092. Less than 23% of all business transactions will be done in cash. Increase your business traffic. Save $300 to $1,000 a year off the cost of doing business via credit cards. For more information on unlimited business options, call Jackie at 347-466-1092.
If healthy hair is on your menu, then Hair du Jour Salon is the location for you. With over 25 years of experience, Aaron Turner Styling Team would like to cater to you. Call us at 215-877-3101. That's 215-877-3101.
You were listening to The Mojo on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. Embrace and explore your black magic.
Well, sometimes I go out by myself and I look across the water and I think of all the things what to do, and in my head I paint a picture. Since I come home, well, my body's been a mess, and I miss your ginger hair and the way you like to dress. Won't you come on over? Stop making a fool out of me. Why don't you come on over, Valerie? Valerie. 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 Did you have to go to jail? Put your house on up for sale? Did you get a good lawyer? Hope you didn't catch a tan. I hope you'll find the right man who'll fix it for you. Are you shopping anywhere? Change the color of your hair. Are you busy? And did you have to pay the fine? You were dodging all the time. Are you still dizzy? Since I come home, well, my body's been a mess, and I miss your ginger hair and the way you like to dress. Won't you come on over? Stop making a fool out of me.
This, ladies and gentlemen, comes from a compilation of remixes and other compilation of various versions of some of Amy Winehouse's most treasured songs. It's called Lioness Hidden Treasures. And that was what they call the 68 version of the song Valerie, a song that Mike and I both were just nodding and saying we really, really enjoyed this tune. And, you know, it's still kind of hard to believe, A, that she's gone and that she was only 29. Like so many other rock or, musical treasures, that weird age where a lot of folks seem to leave us. Hendrix, and I mean, there's so many people that we think about, that they talk about this curse in the music industry that snatches some of the really, really gifted ones when they're so young. But, because they use some of your footage in the documentary about Amy, does that kind of give you sort of a kinship with her story a little bit more?
Yeah, in a way. I mean, like this, I think next week we're hitting our 15th anniversary of Jazzy Fat Nasties, and so and Philly Boys. So I've been going back through the archives, boxes and boxes of tapes, and just over the last 15, 20 years, how many people that I've been in a room with a camera and touched.
Yeah.
So when you look back at that, it's sort of history, and then you start to realize that it's important to chronicle our stories, and nothing's promised and nothing stays the same. So with us on the line, Segway is another gentleman who takes on that responsibility of sort of documenting our history, our Philly sports history, our Black African American culture in a way that is unlike any other. Tony Paris has done numerous sports documentaries for Comcast Sportsnet, including documentaries on Wilt Chamberlain and Hank Gathers, and I hear him coughing there. So with us on the line, Tony Paris, who has a new film that's premiering on the 22nd at the newly rechristened Lightbox Film Center, formerly the International House. How you doing, Tony?
Yes, I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you?
Great. So, you have so many movies coming out. What is this Philly basketball? Are you going to, like, you know, every single person ever dribbled a ball is going to get a movie from Tony Paris? Tell us about Baker League.
The Baker League is a phenomenal film. It's a film about Philadelphia basketball history. It talks about the Baker League and the Sunny Hill League, the Rankin Anderson leagues, and all the leagues that went on in Philadelphia during the summertime. It also talks about the 76ers. Like, most people didn't know that not the 76ers, the Philadelphia Warriors, when it came to 76ers, they won the first NBA championship. A lot of people don't know that. You know? And that was when they were called the Philadelphia Warriors, and of course now they're called the Golden State Warriors. But there's a lot of history in the film that speaks about Philadelphia and what Philadelphia is about in terms of sports. It even digs into a little bit on the history of Fairmount Park and the zoo being the first American zoo in Philadelphia, well, in America. You know, it started in Philadelphia. So it has a lot of rich history about Philadelphia, yes.
Nice. Well, you know, we so often talk about this idea that Philly, you know, I'm not a native. So in coming here from D.C. in particular, I always wonder, I was like, Philadelphia sometimes needs to get out of its own way to acknowledge the greatness that has come from this city in so many different aspects of our culture and our society, and not necessarily be compared to anybody else. Just stand firmly in the Philly and say, this is who we are, this is what we've accomplished, and it's worthy of being recognized. And it sounds like your approach to filmmaking, to capturing this history, is very much in that mindset.
Yes, I agree, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to capture that history, the stories that have not been told about Philadelphia that needs to be told. People don't know about, you know, the things that Dow Dawkins did for the 76ers. They don't know the story about Hank Gathers and how he grew up in Philadelphia and how he played in the public league and won the championship for the first time for Dobbins High School. You know, it's never won a high school championship. People don't know about those stories, and these stories need to be told. You know, Earl Monroe, he introduced playground basketball to the NBA. They talk about playground basketball now, but he's the one that did it before anyone did it, and that was back in the 70s. You know, you hear about this thing called the Eurostep. I know everybody heard the Eurostep, right? Well, a lot of people don't know that Oscar Robertson and a guy named Louis Lloyd, who's from Philadelphia, they started the Eurostep, and it wasn't called a Eurostep. It's a Philadelphia step, or an American step. It's not European, you know.
Right.
But Louis Lloyd was one of the great players out of the Baker League who scored like 50 points like 10, 20 times, dunked on Charles Barkley backwards. I mean, he's one of those phenomenal players that people don't hear about, you know, along with Wilt Chamberlain, Earl Monroe. You know, most of the Philadelphia 76ers that played for the team, they also played in the Baker League. Which is another great history, you know?
Yeah, so, I mean, how do you go about telling the story? I mean, I'm sure there's not a lot of archival footage from that time period, but there are lots of people that are still with us that that participated. Like, so what was your approach in terms of telling the story?
Well, along with Blair Floyd, he has a lot of footage of some of the all-star games that were played in the Baker League. So we used a lot of that footage, and we have footage from the Sunny Hill Basketball League. So we have a lot of footage from back in the 70s and 80s that we use to tell the story. And the footage is just phenomenal. It's phenomenal. You know, you'll leave the theater wondering, like, wow, what did I just see?
Well, you know, I want to come back to that point in particular because Mike and I talk a lot about the democratization of filmmaking now because everything's digital. You know, cameras have gotten smaller and smaller, and more of us have purchased them so that we can shoot these things with our phones or what have you. But who was shooting? If you're talking about this footage from the 70s and 80s, who bought the cameras? Where is this footage coming from?
That's a great question. That is a great question. And the person that I knew of back then, he's a friend of mine now, and he's going to be hosting the event. His name is George Clark. Back during that time, George Clark was sort of like the videographer for the Baker League.
Nice.
He filmed just about everything that was associated with the Baker League and the Sunny Hill League. And he himself held a basketball league on 8th and Diamond, which is a historical park as well in North Philadelphia. So he contributes a lot to the footage that we used in the film.
Right. In the event you're speaking of, it's is it this Monday?
Yeah, this Monday, May 22nd, at 6 p.m. I hope to see you guys there. It's at the International House Theater on 37th Street and Chestnut in Philadelphia, PA.
Now, how much is it going to cost for us to go?
You are a special invited guest.
Okay, but for people listening, stop. Everybody's playing favorites, and no, you can't have a freaking Get Out Blu-ray DVD combo pack because I'm getting in.
I started something with that. Clearly,
I'm just trying to remain transparent so that when they come out, Comey comes after me, I have some proof. But yeah, so for the regular folks. Like my nephew, who wants to play basketball, how much does it cost to get in?
To get into a league?
No, to get into your event
screening.
On screening? Oh, it's $10. It's $10 for a ticket to get into the movie, to the premiere.
Okay, and there's lots of celebrities and folks that played in the league.
Yes, the invited guests are Lionel Simmons, Overton, Aaron McKee, Sonny Hill, John Chaney, Earl Monroe. The list is tremendous. Hakeem Warwick, Rasheed Wallace, Fran Dunphy, who's the head coach at Temple.
Mm-hmm. He used to be a Penn, though. So saith the Penn alum.
Penn, that's right. Great coach from Penn, you know.
Yes.
And there are other people in the film that are no longer here with us. Mm-hmm. You know, people like Wilt Chamberlain, Claude Gross, who recently died a few weeks back, who was the brother-in-law to Wilt Chamberlain.
Okay.
Yeah, so another guy named Bob Black, who was a great coach during the Baker League times. He coached the Sunny Hill League and he coached the Baker League. Mm-hmm. Louis Lloyd will be there. Charles Barkley is invited. We don't know if he's going to show up yet, but he's invited. Chubby Cox, Joe Bryant, Kobe Bryant, you know, the father and son tandem. So a lot of people are invited and should be, you know, there at the event, you know, and it should be something really special. You know, it's history.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, it's a rare glimpse at you know, this history that Philly should be proud of, being trendsetters, having so many stellar players come from this city and come through these neighborhood leagues. And it's wonderful that you have had a chance to really, you know, edit down this footage and put it in some context for us to see and appreciate.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Right.
You have a gift of words.
Now, Tony, I'm assuming that, I mean, if we can't make out Monday, this is going to eventually end up on Comcast?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We're going to definitely try and get it on Comcast. You know, the Wilt Chamberlain documentary was on Comcast last month. So we're going to do this premiere next week. We may even do another premiere. I don't know. We're still talking about it. And then we're going to put it on a network.
Okay,
fantastic. And the one I like of his is the Hank Gathers story.
And you know, I mean, and that was a story that reached me in DC, even though, you know, it was before I came here and got resettled basically in Philadelphia. But you know, just these legendary folks who leave us far too soon, and making sure that their memory is continued to be uplifted, and that's what your work is doing. That's a wonderful thing.
I agree. I mean, Philadelphia is rich in so much history. There's so much to be told about Philadelphia. And I'm just tapping on just one aspect of it, which is basketball, and all the great players that came through Philadelphia and played basketball, you know, and they reached out to all sorts of people across the country and across the world, you know, and people need to see this film. People need to know the history of Philadelphia, you know.
But not just that. I mean, we're talking earlier just about how you model yourself. Just being coached by Sonny Hill, I'm sure, had an impact on people's lives that didn't make it to the pros.
That's right. I mean, Sonny Hill was a great mentor to thousands of student athletes. Thousands. He mentored so many people. He helped so many people, you know, move on in their careers. And there are people today that are carrying that legacy. And then that's the other thing. The tradition and legacy of Philadelphia basketball is tremendous because there are younger people now that are still carrying on that tradition, that are doing some of the things that Sonny Hill did and John Chaney did back in those days. Another guy, T. Parham, and Hal Lear, who's not here anymore. Those guys set the path for a lot of the young guys that are doing the same thing now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, now, like, sports is like an all-around thing. If you see promise in somebody, like, you literally just train in basketball all year round, but just you know, what basketball meant in the summer back in the 70s and 80s, and you know, I can't wait to see it, man. I applaud you for what you're doing.
there's a guy named Mike Morak who does a summer program now called the Danny Rumpf Classic. And what he does is similar to the Baker League, since the Baker League is no longer here. So he has a lot of professional athletes that play in his program, every year, which is in August. Mm-hmm. And it's similar to the Baker League. It's not the Baker League, though. It's not the Baker League, because the Baker League was just phenomenal, But, that's the closest thing we have to the Baker League now.
Wait, so just to clarify, and if we wrap up in a minute, but Baker League, was it professional athletes playing in the summer, or was it non-professional?
Yes. Yeah. It was professional athletes. You see, they started in 1960 with the Baker League, with professional athletes. And then in 1968, they formed the Sunny Hill League for high school players.
Okay,
gotcha.
That's what I understand.
Right. Okay.
After that, they formed the college division, and then the Future Stars, and then the Baker League Mites, which were younger kids. So they eventually got a lot of different divisions going on, that came from the Baker League, but it started with the Baker League first. And it started on 25th and Diamond.
Right. Right around the way, as we like to say.
And we're about to wrap up. One thing, I know the gentleman that started the Rucker, he recently passed. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes. Oh, my God. It's so sad. It's so sad. His name was Greg Maris, and he ran the EBC at Rucker Park. And he's been doing it for at least 25, 30 years now, And Rucker is the first, they considered the first to start Summer League basketball in 1958 or 59.
Wow.
But it wasn't for professional athletes. It was just for the young kids.
Yeah.
So Philadelphia has that tradition. They take that mark in saying that we were the first with the professional basketball players in 1960.
Okay, fantastic. So this Monday, 6 p.m.,
Yes.
Lightbox Film Center, formerly International House, 3750 Chestnut Street, $10.
Yes.
You'll be there. Half the
Lots
NBA
of invited guests, yes.
And if you're smart, you're going to bring your basketball. Stop at Modell's or someplace
and
get that
try
ball.
And get folks to sign
get that ball signed, because it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Absolutely, yes.
All right. Okay. Well,
indeed.
Thank you guys for having me today. You guys are awesome. I love you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, and continued success to you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we take our next break. When we come back, we are connecting with one of those last names that is legendary in the world of film and television. And we're going to talk about yet another film that gives us some insight into what prison perhaps should be aiming for rather than what it actually is. We talk so often about the prison industrial complex, but how we're encouraging creativity and storytelling in these very difficult spaces is the subject of a film that will be also airing on Monday evening that we want you to check out. So we'll come back and talk to the director producer of that project and wrap up this week's edition of Reelblack Radio when we continue in just a moment.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille iJoy. Don't waste your freedom. As a family therapist, I have been thinking about the ways that we may be wasting our freedom. Don't waste it. Your children out of college, mortgage paid up. Freedom. Don't waste it. Your boyfriend or wife left you. Maybe this is freedom. Don't waste your freedom. You joined a new religious organization. Don't waste your freedom. Do some spiritual work now. You have time to go to the library, stay as long as you want, work in the garden. Nobody tells you what to do with your flowers. Don't waste your freedom. You came through an enormous operation, flying colors. You're healed. Don't waste your freedom now. Your whole family praying together, praising God. Don't waste your freedom. Help somebody else. Help others to not waste their freedom. Show them how you do the thing. It's delicious. It's good therapy. So don't waste your freedom. Go vote. Not like other people vote. Vote the way you want to vote, but vote.
Hey, Brother Shamari, I hear you talking about JD's Auto Body and Painting. That's where I go.
Nick, I know the owner JD personally, and they always take care of me. You asked me, I told you about JD's when you needed car repairs. I've been spreading the word about their professional work.
I know. I remember now, you sure did. They're at 6300 Wayne Avenue in Germantown, right?
215-848-5949. That's 215-848-5949. I know I have it memorized.
Now, we both agree that JD's Auto Body and Painting is the place to take your car for all your auto body repair and painting needs. They work with all insurance companies and free towing with repairs.
Yeah, free estimates and senior discounts too.
But I bet you didn't know JD's has a 10% discount for WURD listeners.
Come on, Nick. I know Juanita, JD's wife since elementary school. Tell them Brother Shamari sent you, and you can mention Nick too.
Yeah, that's right. Call JD's today at 215-848-5949.
You are tuned into The Mojo with host Stephanie Renee on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. Embrace and explore your black magic.
I see the crystal raindrops fall, and the beauty of it all is when the sun comes shining through to make those rainbows in my mind. When I think of you sometime, and I want to spend some time with you, just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Building castles in the sky, just the two of us. You and I. We look for
That, of course, is the saxophone of Philadelphia legend. And he wasn't born here, but he established himself here. So that's what we claim him. Yes, he was from upstate New York, but he established his foundation here. And so much of his career is around, songs for the 76ers, songs for the drives around the river. And so we just appreciate Grover Washington Jr. along with the voice of Bill Withers for a song called Just the Two of Us. And that, we're deeply rooted here in our Philadelphia experience and our Philadelphia history, but we also note when there is artistry that's being released into the world that hits us where we live, culturally, socially, in terms of our thoughts about reform and the work that needs to be done in our society. And our next guest has a film that will be premiering on PBS's Independent Lens series this coming Monday. The film is titled They Call Us Monsters, about young men that are caught up in the juvenile justice system, but have found a way to express themselves through the seriousness of what they've done and the seriousness of these sentences that they have been saddled with as youth in an adult system, but finding ways to work through that in a creative way. And the last name of our guest may be very familiar to you because of the work of his father and bringing us storytelling that has moved us in profound ways. So we're glad to be able to connect with Ben Lear, the son of Norman Lear, to talk about this film project. Good morning, Ben, and welcome to WURD.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Well, this conversation that you are engaging in your film is one that we've been talking about pretty vigorously here on WURD, because we are involved in a collaborative media project that is all about reentry. It's about how we are encouraging people to navigate the red tape that is involved in our criminal justice system. So the storytelling that you are engaging in, They Call Us Monsters, is profoundly important to ongoing dialogue that we're discussing here on the station.
I'm so happy to hear that. I think reentry is, it's incredibly important and an incredibly difficult issue to face.
Indeed. And so what drew you to the compound to begin to tell this particular story of how these young people are being saddled with these adult charges and facing life, in this level of incarceration?
Yeah, so I actually entered the compound, which is where LA County houses all of its juveniles that have been tried as adults, so the kids that have committed the most serious offenses, allegedly. I entered there just as a guest of a volunteer teacher. Somebody I knew was teaching a writing class with an organization called Inside Out Writers. And it's just getting these young people to express themselves. I'd never been in a prison before, any type of detention facility. I'd never met anyone accused of a really serious crime. So I was coming in with all these expectations and nerves around meeting these kids, and just I felt immediately connected, and their humanity and their youth and their potential just came rushing out immediately. And I realized that I'd never seen these kids portrayed, on screen before in any way. I didn't even know that we tried juveniles as adults prior to that experience. So that was really the impetus.
Yeah.
And then, you I know you went to NYU, my alum, and studied music.
Oh, nice.
At what point did you decide that you wanted to capture this and make a film of it?
So maybe 2 months prior to that experience, I decided to try, getting into filmmaking. I'd been doing music for a while, and I wanted to write something. I had an idea that was related to prison, but I didn't really know what it was going to be, and I didn't have any, expertise in that area. So I figured out a way to get inside one of these facilities just to do research, and that's actually why I was there initially. The world of juvenile justice and juveniles being tried as adults, totally took me by surprise.
Yeah. And, and I think it's that way for a lot of people. We hear about these stories. If it's not someone in our immediate family that's going through this, then understanding the severity of the charges, the severity of the sentences, and how that manifests itself is something that most of us can't really wrap our brains around. And we are talking about young people that you cover in this film that are part of this screenwriting class that were, just looking at some of the promo materials, 90 years to life for first-degree murder, 200 years to life for attempted murder. These are huge, never to be recovered from sentences in the grand scheme of things. And that's why I think a lot of people don't have a kind of visceral understanding of this, because the sentences are so enormous that we can't even fathom what it's like to be a teen and get saddled with this and know that there's no plan for you to ever leave the prison again.
Yeah, that's what really struck me was meeting a kid, 15 years old, who's in there talking about what he wants to be when he grows up, and then saying, I just hope I get the chance, and then learning later that he's facing 100 years in prison. That's a de facto life sentence.
Yes.
Longer than his life expectancy. So it was that realization that, wow, there's not even potential for a second chance there for this person to live a life. But then on the other hand, if it's true what he's accused of, if he has committed a murder, that is real as well. That's a person that's never, going to take another breath for the rest of their life.
Right.
This isn't a simple issue. It's super complicated, and that's what really drew me to it.
Right, but look, I haven't had a chance to see the whole film, but looking at the trailers, the three kids that you chose to focus on just seemed like incredible. Just bring the humanity out. What led you to choose those particular gentlemen?
So I actually didn't. I didn't really have any control over that. We cast a wide net, and it was up to their judges ultimately who was able to participate, and we only got a few approvals. Happened to be 4 kids, really 3 that we focus on in the film, and they are, I would say that they're representative of that population, even though they are extremely noticeably standout, intelligent, funny, interesting people, with really complicated lives and really complicated childhoods. Right. That we kind of explore through the writing process of them, working on a short film together.
Yeah, I love it, and just carrying on that legacy, of your father. I just recently saw the documentary on Netflix about your dad, and seeing this.
Cool.
So do you feel a certain responsibility to tell certain types of stories because of your upbringing?
Yeah, it's interesting. That's since the documentary's come out, that's come up a little bit, and this parallel that that we've both kind of gravitated towards, issues in our storytelling, I guess, and making some sort of a statement, cultural or political or whatever. I guess whatever connection there is totally unconscious on my part.
Okay.
I didn't realize. I've naturally just. That's interested me more. If the story that I'm telling or the area that I'm focused on has, a wider message to it, then that just captivated me more, and that could that could be hereditary for sure.
Well, I think it's great that you started out, kind of approaching, exploring your creative career through music, and now you're giving us yet another piece through the lens of your camera. Now that you've told this particular story, are you thinking about how to continue using this medium?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really feel like I've found my home in filmmaking. Next up, I'm trying to get into, the world of like fiction filmmaking. So I'm writing something. Also, obviously interested in doing more documentaries. And I love, I wrote a little bit of the music for the film. I collaborated with an amazing composer, but I got to put like a little, bit of a stamp on that, which was a really gratifying experience coming from doing music.
Yeah.
So I hope to be like weaving all of that together moving forward.
Well, I was going to say, for those of us who try to embrace all of our creative talents, I hope that, people are hearing this today, are inspired by the idea that you didn't necessarily go into this with a laser focus about how it was going to get done, but that you found a new calling. And we're going to hear and see more of your creative voice in the not too distant future, I hope.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, I really believe truly that the creative process is, it transcends the medium. I mean, if you have that instinct, if you have that itch, that urge to tell a story and to hone in on what is meaningful to you and find a way to express it, the process of turning that into musical notes or turning that into a sequence of images or words on a page, I mean, that's just the technical stuff. You can do it all.
No, I love it, and I love you're providing the antidote. Roger Ailes died yesterday, so now there's room to get some of this stuff out. So we're not painting people; these are human beings, and the way and this is the antidote. This is really putting a human face on what is a huge epidemic problem, and
it's hard. Yeah, and it's hard to get people to sit down and take in, my intention was not to make an advocacy piece. I'm not trying to sell you on anything. Like, I'm not trying to tell you that these kids are innocent and they should get out of prison tomorrow. I just want you to be able to make up your own mind, and I think there's not enough of that, in the world.
Exactly.
And it's so important.
Right.
Exactly. You made it fair and balanced.
But
seriously, no. I really think everybody needs to see this movie on Monday night.
Yes, indeed, and we're so thankful that you were able to readjust your schedule and make time for us on the air today. We want, we want people to watch and we want people to react, and so people should know that, it's wonderful that this is being aired through PBS's Independent Lens series, because there's always room for commentary on the website. There are always accompanying materials that help to enhance the story beyond what we just see in terms of your completed piece. And that really is the hope that we have for how this story will blossom and take deeper root in our community.
Exactly. I'm excited to engage with everybody after they watch.
Okay, so we'll follow you on Twitter.
I hope it sparks a lot of conversation. Yeah, I'm at just at Benjamin Lear on Twitter, and I'm around. I'm ready to talk.
Excellent.
And if you missed the broadcast, it's streaming on the PBS website beginning May 23rd.
Indeed, but it's one of those things. If you can root yourself for an hour and a half, sit down and watch it as it airs Monday night, then that is the best way to take it in for the first time, and then you can direct people to the stream for other ongoing conversation. Ben Lear, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
And again, ladies and gentlemen, the film is titled They Call Us Monsters, following a number of young men, three young offenders in particular, who are a part of a screenwriting class provided in the Los Angeles prison known as the Compound, where these with juvenile criminals convicted of violent crimes are housed, and how how these sentences translate into them trying to figure out what do you do with life when you are really literally facing life in prison.
And the stories they have in their heart and the environment that they come from that leads to this type of situation. So I mean, it's definitely a multi-layered piece. It's won multiple awards at all the festivals. But before we go, just three things. coming up this week, Ari Spears at Helium.
Okay.
Who's a friend of Reelblack TV.
Uh-huh.
In the morning, if you missed it, Nefertiti and Guvu's movie is playing once again at Drexel on the 25th, I believe.
Okay.
Through Black Star, and I'll have that on the website. And then finally, Macy Gray, Thursday at Ardmore Music Hall. So lots of stuff for people to do if they want to enjoy.
Indeed. Well, we're always inviting people to be a part of our cultural community. And so, definitely come on out and see a film, listen to some live music, do all the things that we do out and about in our wonderful city with all the things that are being offered.
Yeah, and if you missed the giveaway for Get Out, we're going to announce a contest later today. We'll be giving away a few more copies through the website.
Excellent. Well, it's always a pleasure, Mike D.
Yes, indeed.
And,
Renee.
Everybody get out and enjoy this hot day. We're going to say goodbye to the folks checking us out on Facebook Live. And when we return at the top of our next hour, we're going to talk about more opportunities for your young people to get engaged and involved in some cultural education and camaraderie over the summer with our friends at Rock to the Future. Stay tuned for that and more as we continue with this TGIF edition of The Mojo.
When you're looking for the professionals to get the job done, call